what do you want to share? What feels like most important thing that must be said?
Well, I did want to communicate the value of the coaching process that we went through,
Okay.
um, and just acknowledge the positive transition that took place as a result of it.
Okay. What was
I would
that
say,
like?
let's see, I would say two things. One, post transition, I feel that I'm more embodied, and that the whole journey, I never got away from that, which maybe in prior transitions, that's not how it happened. I would just show up somewhere else and wonder how I got there. Whereas
Mhm.
this time I was there the whole way. And then also I'm able to kind of march into the future with purpose, less affected by what happened in the past.
Mm, that's beautiful.
Um,
Say more
and
about.
and I well, the things that I needed to take from the past, I took intentionally and left behind anything else I didn't need. And I think the coaching process helped me do that in a way where I could reflect on the past in only ways that served the future in a positive way. Instead of taking something from me, my past gives me something.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think your past gives you?
Hmm. My past gives me experience on what to do and what not to do. It gives me encouragement to understand what I can survive and where I can thrive. Um, it gives me cautionary tales, but it also gives me a different narrative of a survivor. Um, and and I think the biggest takeaway I got going through this process with you, and looking at the past, is understanding, when there are times of battle, you don't have to stay the warrior, right? And
Mm,
so I walk away a retired warrior into the next phase of life where I'm more of a, I don't know, maybe an educator for the next generation of warriors. But I don't have to take any more scars, and I can heal from the scars I had. I would say that was a big takeaway.
yeah. Retiring your warrior is fierce. A fierce,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
fierce protector. But that's
pretty
amazing. When
hardcore.
you talk about something, how is this impacting future decisions or your future self, or even really the you of today?
Mhm. I'm definitely less defensive. I think before my defenses were always up. Whereas now I'm open to experience life however it comes, whether positive or negative. Before I was constantly turtled up, ready for something negative, and that
Mhm.
carried with it a lot of bad energy. And I don't walk around with that type of energy. I walk around with an energy of curiosity and wonder.
Mm. An energy of curiosity and wonder. I mean, like it's kind of I am joyfully accepting like what? I mean, I feel like I'm honored to have even been able to be a part or be a witness to these transformations and changes that you made. And even like seeing you in this moment, like we were talking about the light that you seem so much lighter. I can't even begin. Let's see, you were leaving a position of authority. You
Mhm,
were not, you were about to undertake a huge project at home. You were, you
mhm,
know,
mhm.
all these things were happening. So since our coaching container, which was, I think we worked together for like 4 months, maybe
Oh, something like that. Yeah.
about 4 months. So, and then it's been at least about maybe 6 months since we stopped, maybe. 8,
I'm not good at math, but that sounds right.
something like that. But it's been several months since we last checked in. So
Mhm.
what's the update? What's good? What's going on with some of those
Okay.
battles that you're not fighting more? What's juicy about life right now?
Well, so I did leave the position as a minister, and it was all positive. I left the best possible way you could leave. I didn't leave with any type of burden. I left completely free, and I've been completely free since. Um, I've since taken a new position in my secular work. I now work for the Center for Health Innovation, which is New Mexico's public health institute. I direct a whole department, um, and I mean, it's great. And then, just other things too that I didn't realize how much it affected. Like for instance, I moved my daughter in at UNM. She's a freshman this year.
Yeah.
And even in that transition, I was just kind of realizing like I feel like I'm just better at transitions. I'm
Mm,
better at, it's always hard to let go of something if you experience it a certain way for a long time. But there's this other part of me that kind of died because I was so defensive. This part of me that's led by curiosity and wonder, like I said before, this part of me that is excited by exploring the world and whatever it has to offer. Um, the part of me that is more concerned about new experiences than whatever threat may be coming my way.
mm,
And it was nice to take that attitude into other areas of my life that were transitioning.
mm.
Like having an adult child, crossover into adulting.
Right.
um, and moving into a new position, when I worked with this other company for nearly 7 years, um, and now coming into this new experience that has been phenomenal and great. And so I can carry all of the lessons learned and the wisdom from my prior experiences without carrying all the trauma. Because
Mm,
I think before, when we were starting in our work, you were talking to somebody that had grown in a lot of ways, but I was still carrying a lot of things from way before, really my whole ministerial journey. I was kind of carrying it with me that whole 21 years.
mhm,
And I just don't have that anymore. It's not a part of me. I don't respond to things the way I did when I was carrying that.
mhm.
I am lighter in so many ways, not physically, but everywhere else. I'm lighter.
That's all right. There's something to be said for lighter energy and spirit. It counts. It's all mass somewhere. Um, that's really beautiful. And I think, when one of the things that I love about coaching and getting into these containers and like doing this work is it's not so much that we like abandon those parts. It's more so like really digging in deep to see like what's in there. And then when you kind of pluck it out and hold it in the light, there is honor in that. And it can offer us
Mhm.
wisdom, you know what I mean, to help to make the next decisions just not seem so scary, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
excavating, uncovering, shedding some light on the difficulty. And I will say that in this process, you were down. You were willing to do it, even when you were
Uh,
like, oh, I don't want to do that.
I definitely struggled. I did. I definitely struggled. But I also I trusted my guide through the journey. Um, I never I never once doubted you were taking me somewhere that I needed to go. I couldn't always see where you were taking me. Um, and so, sometimes I felt like I was dangling on the edge of a cliff. But you definitely helped me embrace analyze the fear that made me afraid to take that leap of faith or whatever. Um, and understand that there was no merit to it. Or if there was merit to it, I'm not in that situation anymore that caused me to have that reaction. Which that was, I think that was the thing I struggled with the most. I knew you'd always tell me to kind of talk to my younger self, and sometimes I'd be like, nah, no, he's got to toughen up. You know, I
Oh,
can't. I don't need to give this man a hug right now. This kid needs to toughen up, and he's like, for what? You know, and it's like, well, nothing. He just has to stay tough for no reason. And you know, I understood how much sense that didn't make, even though it was hard for me to make the adjustment because I was so used to war. Um, but now, you know, it's different. And even if I still in war, I'm just in a different place in life. Like I'm not out on the battlefield. Like I'm up in the war room, you know, saying different instructions and stuff. I'm just in a different place in life. I'm in a different place, you know, I don't have to hustle the same way I did before. And accepting that and identifying the threats is not as powerful as I once thought them to be.
mhm.
That was huge because I could not do that and I couldn't do it on my own. I couldn't do it on my own. I had to take somebody from the outside to point me in that direction. And you did that very well. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Like I said, it's an honor to be a guide and to be a witness, right? Um, yeah, when I think about it, coming into our coaching container, I was like, this is the first time I've ever coached. First of all, coaching you as having you show up to space as a minister, a
Mhm.
Black man. I was kind of like, let's go. I had no idea what to it wasn't so much about an expectation because anytime I meet someone to work with as a coach partner, I never know what to expect. And it's not about me or my agenda, it's about how you showed up. So your willingness to participate felt so it was refreshing for me and also offered me healing with regard
Mm,
to my preconceived notions about how I think or how I perceive Black men, especially to process emotional
mm,
intelligence in conversation and safe space. I definitely, you just have to acknowledge the fact that it really did something to unlock a level of trust in myself and
mm,
trust in the process of coaching that I can focus on working with women of color or working with Black women and be specific in my niche or category, but at the end of the day, this is all human interaction. We're talking about
uh-huh.
human beings who are hardwired with whatever programs we show up with, right? And
Mhm, mhm,
so anything that shows up as judgment or an idea about what it could or should be because of age, gender, sex, religion,
mhm,
that
mhm.
like it doesn't matter,
Nope.
so for me, like the opportunity to be able to collaborate with you on getting through that period was equally a gift to me in my work.
Awesome.
And so I really want to express that gratitude to you for helping me figure out how to show up across the board. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that it was effective. I'm glad that we were able to find alignment in our partnership. It was really good.
Awesome. Yeah, that means a lot. Yeah. And yeah, it all worked for me. I didn't, you know, there was nothing I would change about anything. Excuse me. There's nothing I would change about anything. I think I mean, I know you have your niche, but I think there's a lot of other men of color that would definitely benefit from the work you do. Um, and I think you do a good job of it. I think a lot of men need to hear certain things. Let me put it to you this way: a lot of men have mom issues, right? And so to hear something with a female voice and a female perspective, it hits them a different way than they'd hear it from other men. You know, men need to hear from other men too, but I think that dynamic can be positive.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of men, that especially a lot of black men, a lot of times the wisdom that you do get is from another black woman, right?
Mhm.
So, and I could say that my experience is similar. Um, and I think that resonates with a lot of men. So I'm just throwing that out there.
I mean, I appreciate that. But when I look at, where my practice is going and who I want to work with and how, I think, like I said, it helped me to establish a baseline of being able to trust myself with my skill set to say, like,
Uh-huh.
this is something that you are absolutely capable of being a responsible
Yeah.
guide in these ways. But there have been some situations like my best friend and I went on a trip, visited a a guy friend of hers that he had just gone through a breakup, and
Hmm.
when the breakup happened, he kept the house, but the woman that he had broken up with took like everything with her.
Hmm.
The pots and
Wow.
pans, like, you know what I mean? Like the thing.
Uh-huh.
So he's literally just left in this house with his dog. And we were having a conversation about like how it's important to have um platonic influence from women who can actually
Hmm.
guide you through how to like establish singlehood, right? Like how to be a
Yeah,
man when you go
absolutely.
from mom's house to a live-in partner and you don't have that through line of like what to do and how, like, and
Yeah.
you diffuse the responsibility of like being in an intimate relationship. There's really a service to be provided and just being able to like talk to the homegirl, like, you know what I mean,
Uh-huh.
about
Yep, yep.
what you need to do. So um she was like, you should start a bachelor service for coaching. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
that's where my work is going. But this conversation
Mm,
makes me think that, there might be space for me to, continue to expand to support Black men, especially, or just men of color.
yeah,
I do believe that there's a benefit there.
yeah. There's a
There's
need and a market.
Yeah, there's a need on a market. Look at that. We might
Mhm.
have uncovered something.
There you go.
I might make the next butterfly house for all men and see how that goes. That could be wild. But you never know. We might be onto something. I'm gonna write that down for sure.
Okay.
It's really good to just have the opportunity to reflect as I'm starting to onboard people for the group coaching program. Some of the things that are coming up are these questions about like being in a group, making the
Hmm.
commitment. Oh,
Hmm.
it's an 8-week commitment. That seems like a lot, the
Hmm.
financial commitment. And so I just wonder, for you as someone who's experienced coaching, for you who made the commitment in yourself, who
Hmm.
showed up for every session and did all the things, like what would you say to someone who's on the cusp, interested, but maybe limited by some of those logistical fears?
Yeah. Understand the value, right? Understand the value of investing in your well-being, right?
Yeah.
Because we understand the value of a lot of external things that really, at the end of the day, don't make a difference in our lives. You have to be well within yourself. That is invaluable. And that's worth whatever it costs. If that's
Right.
something you can't make happen on your own, you need to find out how to make it happen with someone else. It's just that simple. And that's a valuable thing. And it's worth that. It's worth whatever it is, it's worth it.
Yeah.
I don't regret anything I spent. I might have spent more.
Yeah.
um, because I'm well. I
Yeah.
wasn't well before.
Yeah.
You can't put a price on that.
Wow. Thank you. I mean, that's like a mic drop moment. I'm well.
Thankful for that. Every single goal we set in one way or another, it moved forward or got all the way there.
Yeah.
I'm in a place where I'm setting new goals, and that's a good place to be.
What's next for you?
Mm. So I just took over a department that represents a quarter of New Mexican counties. I want to change. I want to change the expression of this industry in the state. I
Mhm.
want to develop thought leadership and model what success looks like um, in my department and for the state, for the betterment of the state, to the point that other states look at us and say, "What are they doing?" That is my goal.
Yeah.
That is my goal. There are a lot of steps in between there, but that's what I'm reaching for, and I'm positioned to spend some time doing that. Maybe the next 10, 15 years of my life. That's what the goal is.
Ooh. Man, listen, Joseph, I just want to point out, first of all, amazing. And to offer as a reflection, when we started, you were, I think it was like a stretch of like preparing yourself for the potential of at least another 5 years of torture. But the
Uh-huh.
but you also were like, well, if I can get through one more year of this job that I don't want to do
Mm-hmm.
anymore. And I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Now you're like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm positioned to
Yeah.
be a thought leader and a national model for the state of New
Mm-hmm.
Mexico, and showing up knowing that you're going to give yourself the gift of 10 to 15 years to get there. That's
Mm-hmm.
like huge goal alignment, amazing awareness, so much action. I'm just like, man, my face hurts and smiling. How awesome is that? Ah,
It's very awesome. It's very awesome. I'm incredibly blessed and fortunate, and I'm very thankful. And I thank you because you're a big part of it.
I mean, listen, it was all an honor, and a mutual partnership in growth and change and becoming, right? And being well and how to make choices
Hmm.
there. So I mean, a lot of the choices that I've made personally, I say when we talk about healing, you can only heal to the extent that you have healed,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
really moving along with my coach partners in those challenges, in those struggles. There are definitely days where I come out of sessions and I'm like, I'm really rooting for you because you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like we are linked in this success. I think that we become
Yes.
mutually accountable to each other and our communities to continue to really show up and do this work earnestly and honestly and with integrity. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
inspired and draw an inspiration from you in wonderful ways, which is, excuse me, another reason why I wanted to have these reflection conversations, just so I could tap in and be like, yeah, this is good work.
Uh-huh.
This is
Yes.
the work we're doing, and we're gonna
Yeah,
keep
it's
doing
good
it.
work.
Yeah.
I definitely I wanted to, if somehow I could put something back in to what you've given to me, that's what I wanted to do. So I responded a little late, but I as soon as I saw the opportunity, I was like, oh man, I definitely want to help out with that. So
I'm so
I'm
glad.
grateful that I have this opportunity.
I am too. I'm glad that you did. I'm definitely, this also lights a spark for me to kind of like edit a couple of chunks of the things that you said about the value of this work and the value of
Hmm.
being well and living well. I think that's one of the most profound statements that anyone has made since I've been having these conversations. And so that
Hmm.
ignites my mind to be like, maybe you should go ahead and start editing some of this stuff out so that it doesn't get lost to the cloud. But I think that this is an amazing way for you to give back to the collective and hopefully inspire someone else to choose wellness. You
Yeah.
know, yeah,
Well, and especially if those ravens or those other butterflies or whatever, if you reach out to them, it helps to see somebody that looks like you. And
yeah,
if that's something you want to explore, it's something that's really needed.
yeah,
And like I said, there's a need, there's a market. But sometimes for a lot of men, they just don't know they have permission to do certain things
mm,
because they don't see other men embracing that, or they've indirectly gotten social messaging that it's not your success if you don't do it all by yourself.
yes,
So, if I can help in any small part to help somebody lose some of that messaging, or somebody to give themselves permission to invest in themselves and not have to generate that power on their own. Uh, I'd like to, because it is a massive problem. It is a massive problem, and it contributes to a lot of the toxic masculinity.
Mhm.
When you think you're out there on your own and there's nothing you could do about it, and you have to generate everything yourself, you're gonna get salty about that because that's not fair.
Right, right. Because, and I mean, like, who told that message, that silent message that you have to figure it out by yourself? And
Yeah,
the answer is often like when you're faced with a challenge, it's like, how are you doing? I'm going through something. I'm going to figure it out. Right.
yeah,
I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out.
hmm,
And it's like, well, when are you going to figure it out? And
yeah,
how are you going to figure it out? And are you going to you're going to figure it out by yourself? Like that seems, it's like trying to break a Rubik's cube of life, you know? And so really, I mean, I think that that's something that affects everyone, but the way that it shows up in men, in that doubling down of the isolation and not giving yourself permission to acknowledge our emotions, and what they're trying to tell us that we need, is major. It's like the first thing, it's the first thing to unlock is like, oh, I have human needs
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
are not, I am foregoing my human needs in order to provide human needs for other humans, or to
hmm,
like act as if because I don't have needs, no one has needs. And either way, that's
yep,
contributing to, an unhealthy environment wherever you show up, So
yep,
yeah, I think that this is, I mean, it's very generative in as a discussion, because I hadn't really seriously considered, and I hadn't really seriously considered, opening up my coaching to be
mm,
more inclusive, and mostly because I thought I had to. You know what I mean? I thought I
hmm,
think I had some ideas in my own mind around what is appropriate, um,
hmm,
what would work. Are they going to listen? Do I want
yeah,
to? Do I know anything about that? Like, I can't be an expert of those things. And again, that was all, I mean, ego and
hmm,
my own insecurities and judgment. So getting to a place where I'm like, no, wait a minute, this works no matter what. Is just, it's about the
yeah,
human who shows up. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's not any of that other stuff. So
Oh, like you said about the butterfly, this is species level, right?
yeah.
These are very human issues, and yeah, maybe there's a different socialization and a different energy around how people present masculine or feminine or gender or however we work that out. Like
Right.
at the end of the day, these are human issues. And like I said, I think sometimes men need to be challenged by a different energy, if
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Yes.
Because men are naturally competitive, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes a suggestion from a man can come off as a challenge, right? And so now you're just you're competing and
Mhm.
responding to something, right? And that's not always the best energy to engage with coaching on. And I
Yeah.
know this because I told you I did coaching before, and my prior coach was a man. And when I look back, I think sometimes I just didn't want to show weakness to him. I didn't take on something or something I was asked to do because he asked me to and we were coaching and that was a relationship. It was more like oh, I got to man up and show
Oh,
him that I'm not a wuss. And like that element wasn't there. I was able to be more honest with myself. If that makes any sense. I don't know if that
it
does.
makes it makes a ton of sense. It makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
Look at like the landscape of, I mean, social media has kind of created a whole new monster that sometimes I'm like, I pay attention to it because I think it's a part of the market strategy and it's important to know what's happening. It's kind of like watching the news. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
you can't look away, but you got to really have a strong spirit of discernment about what you're looking at and for how long,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
But it's still necessary data.
Yep.
So in the social media sphere lately, there's been a huge like boost for coaches,
Hmm.
experts, podcasts, male dominated spaces, especially in like the guru and life coach expert,
Hmm.
that is like, ooh, it slips into toxic misogynoir real
The
fast.
manosphere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Uh-huh.
manosphere.
I'm very familiar with the manosphere and all of its toxicity. Yes.
Yeah. So
The
in the
manosphere is a
manosphere,
problem.
yeah. And I'm like, I don't even want to dip my toe in the manosphere because I feel like I'll just get sucked into like a to 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 fight, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
To defend balance, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this balance of masculine and feminine energy, and
Hmm.
to replace judgment and criticism with compassion and deep listening, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
sometimes it can be really, I don't know, it can be really interesting, because energetically you can tell when someone is open.
Yeah.
You can also
Hmm.
ask if they are open to be receptive, be responsive, if this is like is this a safe space to have a conversation about your feelings, right? And sometimes the
Hmm.
only place you can do that is in like a one-on-one coaching container, because once there are eyes and ears and headphones and microphones attached in the manosphere, then it's just like,
Yeah.
ow. It's
And
like,
then it becomes competitive.
yeah, it's like a thunderdome of opinions, and
Yeah.
women do this and men do this, and this is what's wrong with women and this
Yeah.
is what's wrong with men. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with nobody. We're not broken. We're not broken.
Yeah.
We're not
Well,
broken.
there is like what I call the counter manosphere. Um,
Okay.
it just doesn't get as much as attention because it's not sensational. Nobody, it doesn't make anybody mad. So
Right.
you aren't gonna see a Vice article about it or anything. Like that's just how it is. But I follow a lot of content creation around what I call the counter manosphere.
Okay.
And there are a lot of men of color involved in it.
That's amazing.
And you find each other. So if you ever want any links around that or anything, I can send them to you if that's something you want to investigate. But
I
yeah.
would love to. I would absolutely love to. I think considering ways that I can show up powerfully in service to the collective is what I'm
Hmm.
here for. And as long as, that's work that's available to me, then I'm happy to do it,
Yeah.
and being in healthy relationships, like, I have, it's not, I hate to be like, oh, I have brothers, but like the familial relationships that I have with like my older brother, with
Hmm.
cousins, with some of my best friends, with my dad, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
those kinds of relationships always make me look at the manosphere like, who raised y'all? Like, and like, who is this for?
Yeah.
Like, who
Yeah.
is the audience even that you're appealing to in this wild way? So I don't know, neither here nor there. But yes, I would love some information about the counter manosphere and what's available there, because I really do agree. I think I do have something to offer, um, in a a more inclusive way. So
I'll send you a couple of links when we get off.
okay.
There's two specific content creators, and if you if you have the time to investigate them, you'd see all the people they're connected to.
Yeah.
But they're both black men. One guy is, I think, Bahamian. I don't know how you say that. And then another dude out there. And they make one. He actually does. He I think he was working on his doctorate in media studies, and so
Mhm.
like he actually did a whole several part documentary of the manosphere and the problems with it. But then he also applies that same treatment to a lot of media, and so he's interesting. And another content creator, he just commentates.
Okay.
But they both come from just a perspective of black men, and they also involve other people, even people like you. Like they'd probably love you as a guest on a podcast. The one guy I'm thinking about, that can speak from that place, of 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 how masculinity in negative and positive ways can be experienced from an external place. But then also, what different perspectives have to offer it.
Mhm.
And they create a space for that, which is positive, but like I said, these places exist out there and these people exist out there, and there's more than a few of us. It's just, it's
Yeah,
not sensationalized, so nobody cares.
you're right. You're right. And like, I think a lot of times, one of the big lessons for me this year has been like, I have to turn my light on so that I can attract people who are
Mm,
aligned, who I'm aligned with, right?
yeah,
Like that
yeah,
they know
that's
that
huge.
I exist in the world. So it doesn't
Yeah.
really benefit anyone if I hide or hoard my time, my talents, or my
Mm,
treasures away from the people who I'm intended to be in community with. And
mm-hmm,
so
mm-hmm,
sometimes that can be the biggest hurdle, is being fully yourself. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm. I do. I
And
really do.
yeah, that can be the biggest challenge. But I can tell you, it has never failed me. Like
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I can't think of a time where I've like lost anything from being the most authentic version of myself.
mm, yes,
Like
yes.
there's not
That's the
been a
truth.
time. And
That's
it's
the truth.
constantly reminding myself, and maybe less now recently, I would say in the past 2 years, it's been kind of like this, integration period of me like reminding myself and then having some doubt and then reminding myself. But now it's been more smooth. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and being like, the solution to anything that is a problem is to be more of myself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Amen.
Been working. So I'm like, okay, cool. Let's see what we can do, what we can create when I'm being the most of myself. You know what I mean? All of me with
Uh-huh.
me wherever I go. So
Mm-hmm.
it's been working. It's been working.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah.
I'm real
I'm
grateful.
I'm I'm grateful we have it. Oh, and I actually just saw Jesse like 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
We were just talking about how amazing you were, and how they recommended you to everybody that we know. So yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
I met with
it's been
Jessie. She
cool.
and I had a conversation too. Um, we talked and she shared feedback from her sessions. And I'm like, I don't know if I should put together like a super trailer of past clients or what, but I have all these videos of people who I have come to know and love through this work that I'm just like, man, what a gift, what a life that I get to live. So I'm just
Yeah.
grateful. So
Well,
grateful.
if you ever need anything else, just reach out. Like I
Okay.
said, I like to put in, if
All right.
that makes sense, anywhere I can. I'm happy to do that.
Well, I really appreciate that. I don't have anything off the top of my head. I feel like this is a real good, solid ask and a contribution that you've made in just your presence and your being today. But as I start to move forward with new programs and things like that, if you think of anyone who, like even with Butterfly House, right? If you think of
Uh-huh.
someone who you think might be able to benefit, you get my emails, right? When they come out.
Well, I
Right?
got the one that led to this, so I don't know if I get all of them, but I got that one.
Okay, I'll make sure that you're on my mailing list so that you can catch up with like updates and things like that. And if you see something that makes you think of a person or whatever, just
Hmm.
know that like 90% of my clients and my coach partners come from referrals. So thank you for telling all the people, and continue doing that when you feel like it fits. And
Hmm.
I think we'll be good to go.
All right. That
Yeah.
sounds good.
I'm real grateful for your time today. Thank you so much, Joseph. I'm so excited for you and whatever is coming down the pike in the next 10 to 15 years, plus tomorrow. You know what I mean? We out.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate everything, and yeah, it was good to catch up. Having
Likewise.
them.
Take care.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.